The Angels have now lost 10 straight games to the Cincinnati Reds and lose their second straight series, their fourth series in 5 tries, since Perry Manassian said that they're obviously very competitive. Obviously, he was very wrong.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Our Halos played the final innings against the Red last night on hard mode. For some reason, they just decided to make it really difficult on themselves. We've got 3 things you need to know from the game last night. And we're going to talk about why Christian Moore isn't playing more like every day. We're going to share what the Angels said and why it may not be the best way forward. And we're going to look into the future. We got a crystal ball, and we're going to talk about Nelson Rada. Can't wait for that conversation because we need a bit of hope. Before we talk about our favorite team, I want to thank our sponsor for today's show. That's Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Lifelong fans of the Angels here with you, talking Angels baseball Monday through Friday, in addition to our excellent postcast presented by Gavin Carlson, who was the talk of the town on Monday night, going to the Angel game and meeting a lot of friends out there. Hey, check us out wherever you listen to podcasts on all audio platforms. If you're watching or listening, the best way to get into today's conversation is by finding today's show on YouTube. Get in the comments section. While you're there, hit that like and subscribe button. Tag us on social media. DM us at Super Halo Bros, at Locked On Angels. We'll be there for you to get into the discussion. Come bowling with us at the 2nd annual Logan O'Hoppe All-Star Bowl. It's Sunday, September 7th from 5 to 8:30 p.m. in Fountain Valley, raising money for the YMCA of Orange County. Get your tickets by clicking the link in the episode description right below our beautiful faces. Right down there. Do you see, Mike? It's right down there. It's right down there. Make sure you use the promo code Halo Bros, all one word. Let us know if you're coming to join us. Get in the comment section. We'd love to see you at the O'Hoppe All-Star Bowl on Sunday, September 7th.
John, let's talk about this game from last night. The Angels lose 6-4. Now, 0 for 10 against the Reds since 2019. The first takeaway from this game, Kyle Hendricks had his longest start since July, so I guess that's good, right? He went 6 full innings. His last time going 6 full innings was July 27th. Before that was June 17th. So once a month, he can go at least 6 innings for us. He gave up 8 hits, 4 runs in last night's game, walked 3, had 3 Ks through 93 pitches. John, this felt like a just enough start for Kyle Hendricks. He kept us in the game, which has kind of been his MO all season long.
Yeah, he needed to go the 6 innings because you lost your long relief in Carson Fulmer on Monday night. Jose Firmino, obviously, not available after going back-to-back days. I say obviously. Obviously, you and I believe that these guys should be able to go out, 3 times, depending on how many pitches. Yeah, right. Depending on how many pitches they throw, right? I can understand a large workload one day and then not so much the next day. But here's the thing. They needed him to go 6 innings. And then the bullpen was great until Kenley Jansen. Of course, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, a just good enough start for Kyle Hendricks. I also feel like the Angels were dinky dude a bit, Mike, and you combine that with what Elly de la Cruz was able to do on the base paths. That was a recipe for disaster when it came to the Halos letting offensive runs score against them.
Well, they know that that's going to happen against Kyle Hendricks because he's throwing soft, so they're going to make soft contact. It just feels like there's not any, they have all this defensive shading when Kahanowitz is pitching or when Kikuchi's pitching, but it feels like with Hendricks, they don't make any adjustments at all. And because he does get dinky, dude, I don't know what the adjustment is. I'm not the manager, but it feels like there's no adjustments at all. And like they're surprised that the bloops are blooping in. They're surprised that they're just getting over the head of the second baseman. Like, and again, I don't know if there's defensive shading that solves that.
I don't know how to prepare for that, right? Because he's got funky stuff.
Yeah,
he doesn't throw very hard. It's going to induce not only soft contact but weird contact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just think one solution might be that perhaps you play your best defense. So why isn't like Peraza out there maybe at second base, or, and I don't know if he plays second base. He's played mainly third, can play some short, but like put a good defense out there. That might help. I don't know. It's one of those things that we've seen all year long when Kyle Hendricks has been on the mound. And there was just a sense that I got that they were like, oh man, how's this happening? And it's like, this has been every Kyle Hendricks start since he joined the Angels.
It doesn't help when you have the world's slowest corner outfielder chasing the ball down.
My goodness.
But,
Goodness.
Even later on, Joe Adell tried to hustle. It was still too slow, right? Because Elly De La Cruz is just way too fast. I put a Twitter poll out on Super Halo Bros. I said, Ward bad or Elly good? And most of the comments down below were yes. Yes,
that's great. I think one of our everydayers also said that Taylor Ward, a one-tool player, like I think that's all he can do is knock in runs, and he did knock in a run. That's our second takeaway, John. The Angels offense, they struggled through 6 innings against Hunter Greene. He was really good through 6 innings. Greene gave up just 1 run on 3 hits. That came in the bottom of the first. Taylor Ward did get an RBI that scored Mike Trout. It was his 92nd RBI of the season. After that, man, Hunter Greene was cruising. He struck out 12 in the game. But John, the 7th inning came and the Angels finally put some hits together.
Yeah, the first big blow was when Joe Adell hit his 27th home run of the season, 452 feet, the longest home run of his career. It was 99 miles an hour, the pitch coming in on Joe Adell. He hit it out 115 miles an hour. And we'll have more on Joe Adell in a minute. But the thing about Hunter Greene is he's become really good. It took him a few years. And obviously he was very young when he came up. And now here he is doing what he's doing for the Reds. He's been injured this season, but he provided the power, Mike. And the other part of it is, too, he got the 12 Ks. You would expect 8 to 10 Ks from somebody like Hunter Greene anyway, but because it's the Angels, of course, it's more than 10. It's 12 strikeouts. But like I said, we'll have more on Adell in a minute. But after a pitching change, the Halos got 1 more on a Zach Neto RBI single that scored Travis d'Arnaud. In the bottom of the 7th, it ended on a Nolan Shawnuel line out to first base. Man, it looked like
crushed that ball.
Yeah, he crushed it and just right at somebody. The Halos would need another comeback in this game to get the win.
Yeah, third takeaway is the Angels played the final innings on hard mode. I think they paused the game and they went to the
legend
game mode.
Hall of Fame.
Right. It felt like that's what they did. First, they made it really hard on themselves, but then they came back. So it started in the bottom of the 8th. Mike Trout draws a leadoff walk, which in that moment, sure. Thank you, Mike, for getting on base. And that's what he's doing. Still feels like he's not wanting to swing.
Leadoff walk is the key.
That was the
there,
key.
Right?
You didn't have runners on. Great. It does feel like maybe something's like he's understanding that his swing is a bit off. And so it feels like that's why he's taking a bit more of the pitches thrown to him and trying to get on base that way. It feels like he's dipping his shoulder. His mechanics are off. And, Bill Dennison always told us that we don't dip our shoulder playing church league softball, right?
I'm trying to see if he's still doing that hip thing. Remember how the hip was moving toward the third base side? Jared Timms of Talking Halos pointed that out.
Yep.
And, it's hard when you don't have to slow it down and look at it. So that's something that we'll have to look into further. It could still be an issue for Trout.
Yeah, Taylor Ward comes up next and hits into a double play. So there's 2 outs, and now it's on legend. Now it's on, superstar mode, all Madden mode, right? But then Joe Adell comes through and hits his 28th home run to tie the game. A 3-2 pitch, knocks it over the left field wall just inside the foul pole, and it tied the game at 4 in the 8th inning. So all things were looking up, and then the top of the 9th came, and Kenley Jansen comes in and pause to legends mode again, right? And here we are, struggling in the 9th inning. He gave up a single, he hit a batter, and he walked the batter to load the bases. Then Friedel comes up and hits a sacrifice fly. By the way, I love this Reds offense because anytime they got runners on, they got them over and they got them in. This felt like when we talk about, man, this team reminds me of 2002. The Reds kind of have that vibe from the Angels 2002 season. They get them on, get them over, get them in. They don't have a huge power guy. They just have a lot of guys that make contact. And it's why they scored all the runs they did in this series so far.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the fact that they said on the broadcast, nobody has 20 home runs on this roster for the Reds. Elly's got 19, so he's right there. But think about how many guys have home runs on the Angels, Mike. They're one of the league leaders in home runs. Multiple guys with 20 plus home run seasons. doesn't really matter when they're not coming at the right time. And
No.
that's one thing I want to say about Joe Adell too. I have appreciated the fact that more so this year, and of course he's having his best year, but more so this year than in years past, or more so than some of the other guys on the team, Joe Adell has come through when it counts. And last night was a really good example of that.
It feels like Francona's fingerprints are all over this Reds team.
Oh, 100%.
The way that they're playing, their hustle, there's a cultural, like, I don't know, there's an aura that's coming off of this team when you watch them play. And I mean, to be where they're at, and obviously they're chasing the Brewers and the Cubs, which is difficult. But man, if the Angels had their record, the Angels would be right in the race for the wild card and in the race for the West.
You know, they pulled Francona out of retirement to come manage the Reds. Who could we pull out of retirement?
that could get him on, get him over, get him in. That like fundamental baseball.
Who's really good at that in their career?
Nobody comes to mind.
No, I can't think of anybody. Yeah. So you mentioned Kenley Jansen in the top of the ninth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Gavin Lux followed up with a double that gave the Reds a 2-run lead. And then in the bottom of the ninth, the Halos, again, playing on Hall of Fame mode. Big old long swings in their approach. And striking out, swinging and missing, and predictably, they didn't come back. D'Arnaud popped out to second base. Christian Moore struck out swinging. Rengifo struck out looking. I know it was a ball off the plate, but in that moment, you got to fight off some pitches, friends, and that's not what happened there. 2 comments really fast.
Yeah.
Rengifo pinch hit for Bryce Teodosio again. Don't like that.
I was just going to say that I hate that move. I hate that move because Teodosio has the ability to make contact, lay down a bunt, get on base. I'd rather have Teodosio like fighting and scrapping and clawing to get on base than Rengifo coming up there going, all right, let me swing at this ball that's at my eyelids and this ball that's at my shoe tops. And then let me not swing at a pitch that whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Rather would have seen Teodosio have his spot in the lineup. Stop taking him out for Rengifo.
No,
second, they moved Joe Adell to center field, which was the
smart.
right move. Yeah. The third thing I want to bring up, Kenley Jansen, obviously not able to keep it tied in the 9th inning as he's done so many times over the season. And I will say, I think early on in the season, we talked about somebody like Jansen is going to be great. And then they are going to have inevitably, as every closer has, 2, 3, 4 games where stuff like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty good out of the amount of times that he's kept us in the game. He's kept it tied. He's closed out games. So I have no ill will for Kenley Jansen. In fact, one of them I wouldn't even count. Remember that game that he blew up really early in the season? And it was like, well, yeah, he hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. What are you guys doing? And so that I would not hold against him either. But Kenley's a dog. And you earn goodwill with the fans when you say the things that Kenley has said and you do the things that Kenley has done on the mound and, been a bright spot for the Halos all season long. So no ill will from me. It's an inevitable loss that is going to happen, throughout the course of the season. So whether you agree or disagree, I don't care because I like Kenley Jansen and I think he's been a standout for us this season. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, Nelson Rada is an exciting young player and he's cooking in AAA, and we'll get to tell you all about him, and we'll get into that coming right up.
Everydayers, have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family like Gavin Carlson did on Monday night and got all those everydayers? That was awesome, by the way. And to your everydayers that asked, hey, when are we going to go? We're going to be there. We're usually there. We're going to try to get everybody together one last time before Gavin does make a move. Maybe it's game day or you suddenly realize that you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where game day comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without all the stress. With money you save on tickets, you can get food and drinks and merch, and maybe even a bigger group can come with you. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. The prices on the app drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can download their app right now, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Some terms do apply. Again, create an account and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Everybody wants to know, why aren't we getting more of Christian Moore? Why isn't he playing every day? Well, we were treated to an interview about this via Jeff Fletcher, OC Register. Yes, always does a fantastic job.
Rockstar.
Here's what here's what Ray Montgomery had to say. He said, "I don't know the answer to that entirely," speaking about Moore playing every day, other than to say I agree that if Moore sits too long, it can be detrimental. We don't want to do that, and we're managing through that. He mentioned that the Angels are trying to find the right balance with Christian Moore. He said he's going to get the lion's share of this between now and 2030. Obviously, Christian Moore is under playing control for quite some time. You're laughing. I want to tell me.
It just feels like, yeah, we're gonna have him for 5 years, so just calm down, right? He's gonna have a lot of time to play and a lot of time. I mean, this is what this feels like, and I know we have a little bit more to talk about. What this feels like is similar to what they did with Howie Kendrick early on, and it didn't resonate as big like with Christian Moore because he wasn't a high draft pick, but they wouldn't play Kendrick regularly, and there was always this talk about like, oh, he's going to be a batting champion and he's going to be so great for the Angels. But if you go back and you look at his first couple of years, he never played more than 100 games. He was in there and then he was out, and he was in and he was out because they were bringing in Myceris Turris, or they had Adam Kennedy still kind of floating around. And so they didn't give him a full shot. And then when they finally did, he ended up being a pretty solid player. And so I just hate the like, hey, we got him for 5 years. I mean, come on, calm down.
What's the rush?
Right.
And you know, what drives me crazy is that he was injured for a month and a half, Mike. So it's like, don't you want to see more of? You brought him up for a reason 2 months ago. Like, what are you doing? And it has everything to do with the fact that the Angels are still trying to be competitive when they're 8 games under 500 now. And the reason is they're playing Rengifo and they're playing Moncada a whole lot more than you might expect. Now, there is a world where you can have Moncada at third and Christian Moore at second. We saw that last night. The thing is, those two are free agents at the end of the year and not part of this team's future. And one of the thoughts on why Moore hasn't played much was because of how the team is using Moncada. He can only hit left-handed and not right-handed right now. He is a switch hitter normally, but he's not been able to hit from the right side for most of the season due to injury. So Moore has been coming in as a pinch hitter when a lefty's on the mound. But even that feels like it's short-sighted to our fans, to everydayers, to Angels fans across social media. Now, Ray Montgomery did say that Moore is still playing enough to gain experience and that he's also engaged enough on the bench to be learning from that as well. He said, in the grand scheme of things, if you're only measuring it on the actual playing time versus the long term, what he learns from watching, pinch hitting, coming in on defense, whatever it is, it's nothing but a gain for him. He's going to play. I'm not worried about that. And Moore agreed, actually. He said he's 100% confident that he's benefiting from being around even when he's not playing. He said watching guys and picking their brains and understanding certain situations, kind of slowing the game down. Obviously, when you're playing every day, it's hard to slow the game down or see certain things. So the big question here, and you probably already know how Mike and I feel based on what we just said, but the big question is, do the Halos need to play Christian Moore a whole lot? Christian Moore, what do you say?
2 thoughts, John. One correction. This obviously competitive team is only 6 games under 500. You said 8. So but I've got to make sure we get those 2 wins back. But number 2, yes, play him. And this is something that has been the narrative for the last few years, especially as you and I have been hosts of Locked On Angels. This is our 4th season. Every August, every September, the narrative has been the same. Play the young guys. Let the young kids play. Let them figure out who they are. Now, we had an everydayer in our comments yesterday say, I think I'm opposed to that. Here's why. Because I want to see the team put their best players out there because I want to see a competitive game. I don't disagree with that. I think that the idea that we have in playing these young players is we know this season is a wash. And honestly, I'm going to keep watching. 1, because we're hosts of Locked On Angels. But 2, I really love this team. And I want to see what this team has. I want to see what Sam Aldeguerri can do. I want to see what Caden Dana can do. And perhaps that happens in September. But I want to see what our number 1 pick from last year can actually do when he's playing every day. He's been hurt. We haven't seen him put it all together. When we have seen him play every day, we've seen him come through late inning heroics, late inning home runs, playing some good defense. I think he's getting back into the rhythm of playing. He's going to have the strikeout in his game, but it doesn't do him any good if he's up and then he's down for a few games, and then he's back up and then he's down for a few games. It's the same conversation we've had with Logan O'Hoppe. I think him being in there, being out, being in, being out, in, out, like that rhythm is just not good. I think you got to know what you have with a player because this season is gone. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. And so let's figure out what we have so that when spring training comes along, these guys have some time under their belt and these guys have some experience on their resume, and we can kind of decide, hey, this guy is going to be really good. This is a guy that we can probably count on in 2026. So that's why we move in that direction. I'm going to keep watching whether they have their best players in or the veterans in versus the young players. Whatever they decide to do, I'm going to keep watching, but I would rather see the young hype, the young grittiness. I'd rather see the Christian Moores hustling and gritty and wanting to win rather than I'm jogging to get the ball in center field, Louis Rengifo.
Mike, remind me, how many months do you think it took Zach Neto last year to work through the leg kick, the toe tap, the no leg kick? What was that, like 3 months?
It felt like 3 months. It felt like the start of the first 3 months. Yes, absolutely.
And of course, like he had a great season and he really turned it on and he opened up a lot of eyes. That's what I want to see happening now with Christian Moore.
Yeah.
I know he doesn't do, all that stuff, but what I'm saying is if there's things that you see in his swing or his approach at the plate or, his whatever he's working on at the dish, let's figure that stuff out now. Yeah. Because what I don't want, Mike, is to not know what you have in Christian Moore so that you can say, yes, he's our everyday second baseman next year. Mm-hmm. Because that's what they did with Zach Neto prior to 2024, because he got a look in 2023, got hurt, obviously, came back, and they went, yeah, he's our shortstop. He's the guy we're rolling with. What I don't want to happen is us having a conversation in March where it's like, well, maybe we could have Adam. Is Adam Frazier? We could have him at second base.
Ian Kinsler is going to play there.
Yeah. Ian Kinsler, right? Like Dustin Pedroia. He's having a comeback. I don't want to have that conversation of should it be more or should it be one of these other guys? Let's not go there. Let's find out what you have with Christian Moore and plug him in for next year. And to do that, give him the reps. Let him see. I understand he said that he's learning. At every level, whether he's playing. Right, exactly. It's the right answer. It's the team answer. It's the affable player answer, right?
Yeah. And one more thought. I know that somebody might inevitably say, well, Christian Moore's stats, they're not great. But if you go back and look at Mike Trout's first experience in the major leagues, it was awful. He wasn't good. Yeah. But those moments helped him to become who he was and currently is. And so, Christian Moore's hitting under 200 and striking out a lot. But these last couple months, really last 30 plus games, are going to be a great evaluative tool for Christian Moore and the coaches around him and for his offseason to go, here's what you did well, here's what you need to work on. And then I would say, watch out, because if you give him the starting second baseman job in 2026, I think that this guy is going to be somebody that will make a hot run, not just in spring training, but as the season starts. I think he's going to be somebody that will carry this club in the first couple of months because of his energy, because of his hype, because of his grittiness. That's why you got to have him play right now.
I got really bad news for you. Adam Frazier sitting 316 with the Royals right now, and he hit 255 with the Pirates.
He won't do that with us.
But they're going to look at that and they're going to go, well, he had a great season last year.
He'll go up there swinging with a pencil, a number 2 pencil, and strike out all the time. And like, well, he's a veteran. We got to give him some reps.
We got to give him the reps. He brings a veteran presence. Christian, but
he's obviously very competitive.
Exactly.
Before we get too carried away, let's bring it back, John, and let's talk about the future. And one piece of the future is Nelson Rada. He was an international free agent signing back in 2022, primarily a center fielder. He stands 5'9", 185 pounds, just 19 years old, going to be 20 on the 24th of this month. The Angels moved Rada to AAA on August 2nd. And John, since he's been moved to AAA, dude is raking. 354 batting average, 483 on base, and a 479 slugging, which is pretty unique for him because he's not a power hitter. He has a 152 weighted runs created plus, 3 extra base hits, 9 stolen bases, a 16.1 K percentage, and a 16.1 walk percentage. But John, since you're the guru of numbers around here, we have deeper numbers, some deeper metrics that we have in front of us. I'd love for you to walk through the ones that catch your attention, explain them to our everydayers, and why they're good, and maybe perhaps why some of them they need to improve.
Yeah, look, the things that he's doing really well, he's not striking out. He's got an incredible walk percentage, like you said. Mike, I think a key to that is he's not chasing. He's got an elite chase rate so far in AAA with a 14.29 chase rate. That puts him in one of the higher percentiles. Not swinging and missing a whole bunch. He's making contact in the zone at an elite rate. So again, these numbers I'm reading off to you, just imagine red bars, red StatCast and Baseball Savant bars going across the screen. Now the areas that kind of make sense for a guy who's 5'9", 19 years old, 185 pounds are the exit velos, right? The hard hit percentages, the barrel rate, and how hard he's hitting the baseball. Not very strong. In fact, he's on the lower end of the spectrum in a lot of those categories. So in the small sample size that we do have of AAA, and the thing is, here's what's frustrating. AAA has the all of the, on TV when they show like presented by Google Cloud and it's the strike zone and where the ball was, they have that technology in AAA stadiums. And they also, that's what provides StatCast with their data. So again, there's a lot of things here that make sense. He's not a very hard hitting guy. Yeah. But that comes with age. That comes with body development.
He's 19. Yeah.
He's 19 years old. He's 5'9", so he might not have a ton of power. And that's why I think a lot of people wonder why Nolan Shawneewell doesn't have a ton of power, because that dude's like 6'3" or 6'4" or something like that. So, but all of that to say, what I like here is the plate discipline. And I think that's something that doesn't go away very often. If you have that elite plate discipline at 19 years old, you're doing something right. Yeah. Now, when he puts it all together and he does hit the ball, well, I'm encouraged by the fact that his expected batting average is 306, Mike. And so he's outperforming that, obviously, with the 354 average that he's actually hitting. But the expected batting average at 306, still pretty dang good. So we could be seeing somebody who, honestly, is going to hit for average, have an elite on-base percentage, and then, rip a double every now and then, rip a triple because he can run so well. Yeah. So I guess what we can look forward to from Nelson Rada is a true leadoff guy, Mike, a true center fielder and a true leadoff guy. Here's the thing. I like Bryce Teodosio. I like his defense, but he's a number 9 hitter. Yeah. He's not a leadoff hitter. Yeah. And they were talking about Zach Neto being a leadoff guy last night. That's all well and good. But man, you put Zach Neto at number 3, right? I think that you could see something really cooking with this lineup, because Trout doesn't belong at number 3 anymore. I think Zach Neto belongs there. They tried Nolan Shawneewell there earlier. It was working out pretty well when they flipped Trout and Shawneewell around. But when I look at these metrics, when I look at these numbers from Nelson Rada, again, it's elite plate discipline combined with attacking the zone when he needs to, laying off the pitches he shouldn't be going after. And he's not going to hit the ball very hard, but he's going to have the gap-to-gap stuff and the speed. Maybe he could be our Elly de la Cruz, right? Yeah. And I know that he's batting third and fourth, but put Nelson Rada at the top of the lineup. I think in the future, we have a true leadoff guy here.
Now, here's some insider baseball for you. Everydayers, you probably know this, but let me just remind you, this is why StatCast is so important. I know that when analytics come up, some people will poo-poo it and say, I hate the analytics. And so I get that, because sometimes the analytics have to influence decision making. And Ray Montgomery is kind of that guy, like, well, he went third time through the order and take him out. And sometimes you got to go on feel, right? And then contact is so important where you drop things in. That's ultimately what's really important. But these numbers, StatCast numbers, these tell us the potential that Nelson Rada is, almost tell us exactly the kind of player he is. And that's why these numbers and StatCast are so important, because we get a sense of who he is without seeing him every single day. Now, here's what I love. I saw this tweet yesterday from a baseball insider that said, Nelson Rada and these StatCast numbers, it tells me that this guy's going to be good, but there is a gap between what the StatCast numbers say and actually performing on the field. Mm-hmm. And this baseball insider said, Nelson Rada is going to perform on the field.
Yeah.
This guy has it. And that's what these StatCast numbers say. This guy has it. He's going to be the guy that is going to make contact and move runners over and have a productive out and be somebody that fouls off 4 or 5 in a row and has a 10 to 12 pitch at bat. That's stuff that you can't measure. And so when people hate analytics, that's what they're talking about. They're like, those things are the intangibles. And we agree. But these numbers here tell us, oh, this is the type of player that he potentially could be. This gives us a good idea of what he will bring. And what we're reading in these numbers and what we're hearing from scouts is that Nelson Rada is that dude. He is going to be that type of player that we're excited about, that fits the mold of the Netos and the Moores and the Shaunawells on this team. I think he's going to fit right in to the culture that these players are developing.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like I mentioned it, the batting average, how many guys are going to look at him hitting 354 and go, well, that's unrealistic, right? Because nobody hits 354 unless you're Aaron Judge in the first 2 months of the season, right? but what is encouraging is that they will always regress. And it's funny, they use the word regress, which you would take to mean backtrack.
Yeah.
And often they will positively regress or negatively regress. And if he regresses in any direction, it's going to be down from that 354 batting average, but the expected batting average is 306. Mike.
Yeah.
And so that if that's the kind of guy that he is,
still hitting,
and based on the plate discipline that he's showing and the swing decisions, I think that's encouraging too. The swing decisions he's making. This is a guy who's going to hit for a high average. And I know it's AAA, and I know that the ball carries a little bit different there. And I know it's not quite major league pitching. I think that's why they moved to AAA to face some of those fringe AAA guys. I think that's why he's there, so that they can get a good look at him. Joey Estes of the A's is somebody that the Angels have faced before, right? He's the one who got the bat thrown at him by Victor Robles the other night in a AAA game, but he's been in the majors and he's a fringe guy. And those are the kinds of guys that you want Nelson Rada to be competing with right now, so that you can get a better look at what he's able to do once he comes to the major leagues.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Angels on YouTube so you don't miss all of this great Halo content and become a smarter fan. And that includes the best postcast in the biz with Gavin Carlson. He's live after every game right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
Hey, once again, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels, at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. If you're watching or listening, find today's show on YouTube, get in the comments section while you're there, hit that like and subscribe button. It puts us in front of other Angels fans who might not have found Locked On Angels yet. I think Deshaun is somebody who's been in our comment section, who just found us. He's been awesome.
Glad to have you.
We got a great message on Instagram the other day that was like, hey, found you guys this season. And I listened to you on my morning walk before I head to work. So
love it.
We love hearing stuff like that. So shout out to all you everydayers. Mike, what do we have on deck for Thursday's show?
Well, Joe Adell has really improved this year. I mean, 2 home runs last night. He's holding things together. Shut up. He's holding things together. John, there's one thing that scouts say, if he could do this one thing, he would put it all together. We're going to talk about it, but I think maybe we might disagree. And we'll explain tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
That wasn't a sarcastic. That was an actual intrigue. All right, friends, we hope you'll come back and join us for that conversation. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Thursday.
Your arrogance is very unbecoming of you, John.
My arrogance is totally founded and deserving.